Hi, everybody. Apologies for the late start. There was I'd love to say there was a technical difficulty, but it was me. It was totally me. I am experiencing both of the most common side effects of getting the vaccination. Oh, hi. Welcome to Wine&Reason. I'm Julie, by the way. Uh, here's where they, here's where I got my vaccine this morning. I'm conveniently covering up part of my tattoo there. Um, that arm is a wee bit sore, not a problem. And I am super fatigued. The fatigue, though, I got the shot at 9:58 a.m. on the dot. I had myself in there. I just muted a podcast, so I was looking at it. And it was fine. No long lines. The volunteers were amazing. It was all women sending us through these green pylons set up in a church parking lot so that we could all go through, and like that forced us all to wait, a little amount of time so that they could come by and check us 15 minutes after we'd gotten it, 20, maybe 20 at the most, just to make sure nobody was having a scary reaction. There were medical nurses and medical professionals there who were actually administering the vaccines. They were all amazing. So shout out to everybody who volunteered and who was out there busting ass at the Raleigh vaccination point today. Thank you so much. You rock and you are amazing. All right. Yeah, so I'm so tired now, though, because the fatigue hit a little before 4. And now I'm so sleepy, I forgot to hit go live. So that's fun. Okay, so got the shot, not a problem. So, hey, everybody in the chat. There's Kevin Kaus. I know, thank you, Kevin. There's Dave, Critical Cripple, my darling Junk Shop Library. Oh, lots of talk about how I hadn't started in the chat yet. Yeah, no, I thought I had. That was a mistake. Let's not dwell on the fact that I was up here talking to myself for like 5 minutes before Junk Shop like very quietly tapped on the door and was like, "You haven't started yet." Kind of forgot to hit that go live button. That sort of thing happens sometimes, especially when you're kind of wiped out. So sleepy. Okay. So yeah, hugs to everybody. Hello in the chat. Yeah, Junk Shop can't get their vaccine. This is gonna be fun, y'all. We got sources to get through. I gotta be on Godless Granny stream later. Link to that is in the description. I say gotta be. I have the privilege to be on her stream later, so I'm very excited. So show up for that. It's gonna be good. Stay here for this though in the meantime, if you would, that'd be great. Okay, so all the links are in the description. Let's talk about the vaccine I'm on that's made me a little tired and therefore a little loopy. This is the first wine I've had today, and it's not, I haven't started, like, I just started it. This isn't, okay. But as I said, fatigue, sore arm, 2 most common side effects. When I got the Moderna shot, because that's what I could get today, they gave me a card and a date, April 27th, to get the second shot. That doesn't mean I have an appointment. It means I need to make an appointment. You can only make appointments about 2 days in advance. So you have to go to like this tn.gov website, which I should have linked in the description, but it's different wherever you live. So I don't know how many Tennessee listeners I have or watchers I have. So I didn't, but you can find it. Just Google COVID vaccine and the name of your state or name of your city or your zip code, and you'll get it. You'll get the information you need. But Junk Shop couldn't because they were only vaccinating while they were at work, and then Junk Shop can't go on Saturday because of Jesus, and I mean that quite literally. It's Jesus. They're not vaccinating against a deadly virus this Saturday because we have to celebrate the execution and subsequent resurrection of our Lord and Savior. So people, once again, for the 18th time in human history, are going to possibly die because of Jesus. It's great. Okay, on that morbid note, let's talk about why Christians are afraid to get this vaccination. Because this is something I'm genuinely curious and interested about. I know I complain a lot about some things, some beliefs that some Christians in my life have, but science denial is a big thing for me that I really hate. I did find in my research that it does go all the way into the medical community, not about this vaccination in particular, but there is a link to an AAPS article, which is the American Association of Physicians something. And yeah, they at some point in like 2005, a bunch of physicians who work at hospitals, where the hospitals were saying, and everyone who works here has to get a flu shot. It's a requirement. Hey, PJ Smith, hey, never again. That's reasonable, right? You work in the healthcare field, you have to get a flu shot. I wasn't required to get a flu shot at my last office job, but they had a shot nurse who came on site, and you could just go take a break, stand in line, and get your flu shot, and it was covered under our insurance, so you didn't have to have money on you or anything. It was a damn convenient way to get your flu shot, for sure. And I did that every year I was there. It was awesome. It's like, okay, one less thing I have to worry about going to the doctor for. But apparently there were some Christian physicians who wanted to know, or maybe they just didn't want to get the flu shot, and they thought this was the route away, because honestly, to escape any reasonable mandated medical anything in the US, the way to do that is to use the religious exemption. That's the way to do it. If there's something you don't want done to you that is perfectly reasonable, and that, because we require very few things, and it's usually like I said, I worked in an office. We weren't required to get a flu vaccine. The factory I work in now no one will be required to get the coronavirus vaccine. It would be nice, but no, they know there's no way they can enforce that. And also it's kind of weird. I mean, they could, it's a private company, but what are they going to do? Like, I don't know. Anyway, so no, they're not going to do that. They're strongly urging us all to. All right. So there was this group of physicians in 2005 who were like, I don't want to get the flu vaccine. Can we do a religious exemption thing? And it became such a big deal that they ended up getting this article written about it. And it's absurd. It was absurd. So if you want to read, I'm not going to spend time on that one, the flu vaccine and the physicians' rebellion of 2005 or 2015 or whenever the fuck it was. But feel free to check that out if you want to. So I did some different searches because I didn't use all of my normal search criteria on this one, because I wanted to get like the regular old, lefty perspective, but I also wanted to get like an honest to goodness, like Christian perspective. So I did a couple of different searches to come up with these sources. So here's where I typed in, like, why are Christians afraid to get the COVID-19 vaccine? And one of the pieces that I found was from NBC News, again, linked in the description. And the title of this is Christian Nationalism's COVID Vaccine Doubt Threatens America's Herd Immunity, which it absolutely does. So Christian nationalist ideology will almost certainly serve as a barrier for a sizable minority of Americans who need the vaccine. Now, some of those minorities, by the way, let's keep in mind that right now in the States, the vaccines are only available to people 16 years old and up, which is okay. That kind of is what it is, If we get enough of us vaccinated, we can protect younger children, and particularly younger children for whom the vaccine would be dangerous, even if it weren't, already we're not quite sure if they can handle it yet or not. Like people with, like kids with chronic conditions, right? Kids with who are immunocompromised, things like that. And so also keep in mind that part of that sizable minority of Christians who might be threatening the herd immunity, it's going to be their kids too. So, yeah. All right. So this is by Andrew L. Whitehead, and this was written back in January. This was written on January 2nd, 2021. And this is Whitehead is also the co-author of Taking America Back for God, Christian Nationalism in the United States, and Samuel L. Perry. Oh, I'm sorry. It's also by Samuel L. Perry, who is the co-author of the same book. So they authored that together. That sounds like a good read. Taking America Back for God, Christian Nationalism in the United States. That might help us understand some things. All right. So the article begins, quote, despite the magnitude of the coronavirus pandemic in the U.S., where over 340,000 people have already, oh gosh, do y'all remember the halcyon days, 3 months, not quite, in January, late March now, but in January, when we'd only lost 340,000 people. Yeah, it is well over 40,000 now. So when that was going on, videos of the first Americans receiving vaccines were cause for celebration. And they talk about the consistent narrative among American political leaders who, oh, yeah, this is bad. All right, I should read this. Quote, a consistent narrative among many political leaders who delayed an aggressive response to the virus, including President Trump, is the expectation that COVID-19 vaccines will speed the return to life as we used to know it. Yet epidemiologists and public health experts say vital herd immunity will be harder to achieve if a sizable number of Americans resist vaccination. And unfortunately, we're seeing some of that. So yeah, one of the biggest issues that we were seeing was leadership. Now, keep in mind, this is before Joe Biden was sworn in, but still, even now, like our governor has taken away all COVID restrictions. People are walking around without masks. I mean, they can't go into a shop without them, but they're walking around without masks like they think this is over. And it's not. It's not over. Excuse me. So Americans have a tendency to resist vaccination anyway, and the authors go into a little bit of the history of that. Some of those reasons are very good, the authors Whitehead and Perry. But Americans who strongly embrace Christian nationalism, which is close to a quarter of our total population, how fucking scary is that? Are much more likely to question the safety of vaccines and to be misinformed about them, i.e. believing that vaccines cause autism or don't work, or that those who administer them are dishonest. If enough of these Americans resist a COVID-19 vaccine based on suspicions rooted in misinformation, the results would be disastrous for achieving herd immunity. So they go on to debunk a lot of these things. Now, they also combined, so what they did is they looked at vaccination attitudes, and they came up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big, anti ones, right? Vaccines cause autism, they don't. Doctors and drug companies are not honest about the risk of vaccines. No, that's not true. They are. They have to be by law. People have the right to decide whether or not to vaccinate their kids. Strong disagree unless the kid has a medical reason to not get vaccinated, which the doctor then would already know about. But you try to tell Americans what they are and aren't allowed to do with it. I mean, I'm talking, I live in a country where children die every year because their parents don't believe in modern medicine, or their parents don't believe in blood transfusions. So they die from preventable, they die from things they didn't need to die from. So I really want to say that, no, that's some bullshit. And number 4, kids are given too many vaccines. Oh my God, shoot me the fuck up. How can you get too many vaccines? Do you miss polio? They're on a schedule for a reason. There's a very specific schedule. A lot of research and time has gone into it. If you're not a virologist, get out of the fucking way and get your kid vaccinated. Sorry. 5, no, I'm not. Vaccines do not help protect children from dangerous disease. This is a common misconception. Oh my God. Okay. Had the measles recently? All right. Okay. We got to jam here because we've only got an hour and 10 minutes until Granny's stream. So I can't keep you on here forever, but oh my God, what the hell? Okay. To measure Christian nationalism, we combined, we being the authors, response to these 5 questions into a single scale. 1, the federal government should declare the United States a Christian nation. Okay. No, it should not, because thanks. Then I guess the rest of us can just fuck off. 2, the federal government should advocate Christian values. What? Ignorance and what? Despising science? Are those the values you're talking about? Because those are the only ones I see that directly correlate with the vaccination objection. The federal government should enforce strict separation of church and state. Okay, on that we agree. And yet, do you guys see how dichotomous that is too? The federal government should declare the United States a Christian nation. So if you do that, you're not enforcing strict separation of church and state. So they think they know what that means, and what they really want is freedom for their religion. They don't want freedom for other religions or no religions. That's the thing. Okay, the federal government should, and I don't like to make sweeping statements like that, but that is what that means. Like, they don't say the federal government should declare the United States a theocracy. Which one? Islam? No. Christian nation. No. And they didn't say theocracy, I did, but still. But I love that. It's like the first one is the federal government should declare the United States a Christian nation. Number 3 is the federal government should enforce strict separation of church and state. And that's hilarious. It's like, do you not see what you're doing there? Yeah, but still, agree wholeheartedly with number 3. Absolutely. Build up that wall. Not the one between us and Mexico. That's stupid. I mean, the figurative wall that Jefferson talked about. The federal government should allow prayer in public schools. No, it should not, because that goes right back to that strict separation of church and state that you just asked for, motherfuckers. And also, okay, you want to allow prayer in public schools? Fine. Then you have to allow prayer for every religion that exists in our public schools, because they are public schools, which means you have to allow Muslim students time, at least, they probably pray before school and probably at least once after school, but that's 3 times a day you need to allow your Muslim students to pray. So, I don't know, get rid of gym class. It's kind of pointless anyway. But no, you shouldn't allow prayers in public schools. Are you insane? That is not strict separation of church and state. It's like they don't even know what that means. And then lastly, the federal government should allow religious symbols in public spaces. No, it should not. No, it should not, because again, that's separation of church and state. Okay, I can't look at this article anymore. It's great. Read it in its entirety. But yeah, that's an idea of where some Christian nationalists are coming from 2 guys who wrote a book about it. That's really disturbing. And oh gosh, that's disturbing. All right, so here's another one. This is from the Washington Post, and this was one of my secular searches again. So the headline is, on social media, vaccine misinformation mixes with extreme faith. Even with renewed efforts by tech companies, religious-themed misinformation is among the hardest to police. And this is by Elizabeth Dwoskin, Dwoskin. And this was published on February 16th. So she's talking about the spaces we create for ourselves on social media, those bubbles, right? An insular world of social media, as she calls it, like TikTok and Young Christians, quote, young Christians act out biblically inspired scenes in which they are forced to take a vaccine for the coronavirus, only to end up splattered in fake blood and on the brink of death. What? This is happening? Apparently, I don't follow Christian TikTok enough, and God, I don't want to. Don't make me. Okay. Quote, the melodramatic videos are an attempt to represent how the introduction of coronavirus vaccine could herald the biblical end time. Here we go. Apocalypse now, motherfuckers. Along with hundreds of thousands of other vaccine questioning posts by social media users all over the world, they are demonstrating the ways in which health misinformation is targeting Christians, some reaching sizable audiences. Some churches and Christian ministries with large online followings, as well as Christian influencers on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube, are making false claims that vaccines contain fetal tissue. They do not. Or microchips. They do not. Or are, those little asides are me. Those brackets, asides, that's me. Or are construing associations between vaccine ingredients and the devil. And the devil? Hang on, pause, stop. What? And the devil? I mean, I was raised Christian, but the devil? Okay. Yosemite Sam. Ah, yes. Yosemite Sam. If you get that, bless your heart. If you don't, just ignore me. Okay. Others talk about how coronavirus vaccines and masks contain or herald the quote mark of the beast. Just kidding. How the fuck does anyone? This is a reference to one thing in the book of Revelation. It's so stupid, and it's just, God damn it. If you've ever watched either Seth Andrews or listened to God Awful Movies break down the those movies from the 70s where a dagnabbit. Somebody put it in the chat because it's gonna drive me crazy. Those movies in the 70s where basically the rapture happens, and there's like a series of 3 of them, and it's not the Left Behind series that came along way later, but this is like, it's like if you weren't saved, and then they actually had, like, you had to get a barcode either on your forehead or your hand in order to shop. There was a one world government. It was just, it's like all the conspiracy theories, all the conspiracy theories rolled into one. Oh, hang on. Yeah, I can't. Oh my God. Oh, Fireball Schnapps. Nice. All right. That's so funny. Oh, hey, B. Thief in the Night. Thank you, my love. Thief in the Night. Okay, if you haven't watched these movies, and do watch Seth Andrew watching it and talking about, because he has a whole thing about how these movies terrified him as a small child and gave him horrible nightmares, but then he rewatches them as an adult. He did it during quarantine last year. It's brilliant. Also, the God Awful Movies guys did it. Listen to them make fun of, drag these movies, rake these movies over the coals, like the coals in hell, children. Seriously, brothers and sisters. But listen to them make fun of these movies, because I could not do it justice. Hey, Cadence. That alcoholic mixed drinks. We're talking about cocktails and vaccinations. Okay, so here we go. Oh, yay. And Pope Frankie and the Southern Baptist Convention policy leader Russell Moore are urging people to get shots. Well, thanks for that. Also, Pope Francis, if you could get your... damn it, I can't say that. This will get repressed. If you could get all of the clergy and in the Catholic Church to stop abusing children, and that's as nicely as I'm willing to put that, and it makes me feel dirty just to even say it that nicely, because you guys, you know what I mean. That'd be great. Talk about that publicly, but also thank you for telling people to get the shots. Okay. All right, and then she goes on to discuss 94% effectiveness of both the Moderna and the Pfizer BioNTech vaccines, and the rigorous safety, federal safety processes that they went through. So they're good vaccines. Like I said, just had my first one of the Moderna today, getting the next one around the 27th. All right, so here's where I went. I started Googling a little differently. I Googled, so I Googled, guys are coming up with all kinds of recipes in the chat. How about Fireball whiskey along with or Jägermeister and something? I don't know. I'm good at drinking cocktails. I'm not great at inventing them. I don't know. The devil's semen is supposed to be cold, so maybe something with vodka. Anyway, moving on. I don't know. I think that's just a fiction thing. All right, so then I changed up how I was Googling, because I was like, okay, let's get the actual Christian perspective, not just the people who are like, for the love of God, Christians, for the love of your God, Christians, be sensible for a minute. So I put in, should Christians get the COVID-19 vaccine? Different way to phrase the question. I got some very different hits phrasing it that way. So here's what I got. And it's not all bad. So the first one is from Influence, subtitle, The Shape of Leadership, which I assume is yep, it is. It's a Christian online publication. Excuse me. The title of this one is, Should Christians Take the COVID-19 Vaccine? An AG minister, I don't know what AG stands for. If anyone in the chat knows, let me know. And healthcare professional offers guidance. Oh, great. You're a minister and a healthcare professional. That scares me. Okay. Christina M.H. Powell is the author, and this was published on March 5th. So Powell writes, for the last year, we have lived in a world of social isolation. Imagine standing up in a sea of people pressing toward the door of a convention center. Okay, and yeah, we know. It sucked. We know what it's been like. Hang on, skipping ahead. All right. So why is vaccination important? She says. This is her first subheader. SARS-CoV-2 is spread. Oh, she did the whole thing correctly. Okay. All right. Definitely has some medical training. That's good. And I know Christians who are also who work in the medical field. I shouldn't be such a dick about that, by the way. I'm just gotten some interesting answers from people IRL about this question recently, and I'm not getting into any of that. And yeah, it's been a weird week. So anyway, SARS-CoV-2 is spread from person to person, primarily by respiratory droplets exhaled by an infected person. Okay, so she's going on to describe how it's shouldn't be in control in enclosed spaces, viral transmission. Okay, so basically telling us everything we've known for a while now. I mean, I know we're still learning new things about this virus, but in terms of how it's transmitted, we figured that out a while ago. But okay, starting at the beginning, covering your bases, your audience, good job. A vaccine reduces the likelihood of a person getting a disease. For example, if a vaccine has 95% efficacy results, why choose 95 when the ones we have now have 94? She may not have known that on March 5th. I don't know. I'm not going to make a thing out of it. If a vaccine has 95% efficacy results, then people who are vaccinated are 20 times less likely to get COVID-19 compared to people who are not vaccinated. Furthermore, healthy people who are vaccinated reduce the likelihood of people unable to be vaccinated getting COVID-19 through herd immunity or community immunity. I actually don't mind that she changed that to community immunity. I know it's not the same as what we mean, as what the medical profession means when it says herd immunity, but I can see how people in faith communities might respond better. It's kind of like when the slogan defund the police came out, and a lot of people took that to mean it's going to be lawlessness and anarchy, and we were like, no, We're just talking about reallocation of resources because we asked cops to do too many things, and now apparently they are and also have been just killing people in the streets. So that's not what that means. But I think, yeah, I think a term like community immunity might, as annoying as it is because it rhymes, might be helpful for people in faith-based communities, right? Okay. Alrighty, so let's continue. But then she very quickly switches back to herd immunity, I think just so as not to cause confusion. Herd immunity, I'm not reading her brain. I can't read minds. I skipped that day in high school, but I'm just reading this, like I would read an article. That's what I would infer from that. Herd immunity occurs when enough people are immune to disease through vaccination. Okay, we all know what herd immunity is. Okay, this is important because I heard a very similar figure from the current head of the CDC, Center for Disease Control. Such a choice is a practical way to, I'm sorry, I accidentally skipped down. I'll get there though. Researchers estimated that herd immunity to COVID-19 will require 75 to 80% of the population to be vaccinated. I heard at least 70% with a really hard emphasis on that, at least 70%. So yeah, 75 to 80%, that would be fantastic. And then people with compromised immune systems and little kids wouldn't have to worry. And their parents wouldn't have to worry. And then she writes, thus, people who choose to take the COVID-19 vaccine not only protect themselves, but they also help the community to stay healthy. Such a choice is a practical way to, quote, love your neighbor as yourself, Mark 12:31. Okay. All right. Now, this is a moment where, as a reader, I have to give her props for this. And as a fellow writer, I have to give her props for this because, again, she knows her audience. She's writing for a Christian publication. She's trying to allay fears that some Christians have about this particular vaccine. And that's an excellent point. Like, yeah, it's not just about you. Okay. All right, and then she goes on into a breakdown of the vaccines and says ultimately the pandemic will end when enough healthy individuals choose to be vaccinated. And she is absolutely right about that. It won't end until enough healthy people choose to get vaccinated. We'll just keep going through this. And then she does do quite a long bit on are the vaccines safe? And yes, she gives good information there as near as I can tell. So that's good. And then ethical concerns. Okay, here we go. So what are the ethical concerns? Christians who uphold the sanctity of human life express concern about using vaccines that may have used fetal. God damn it. It was one thing so long. Okay. Sorry. I'm so tired of this argument and the great veil of ignorance surrounding it. Okay, using vaccines that may have used fetal cell lines originally created from an aborted fetus in either the testing or manufacture of the vaccine. The desire to avoid moral compromise is commendable, but we must guard against well-meaning concerns leading to faulty conclusions. Ooh, good for you. Okay, I'm going to keep reading. In initial laboratory safety testing of the Moderna vaccine and the Pfizer-BioNTech mRNA vaccines, researchers used a fetal cell line known as human embryonic kidney 293 hex-293 cells. This fetal cell line was originally generated in 1973. Thank you. Finally, a Christian is saying what actually happened. 1973. We've just been growing them since then off of this same cell line. It's not like we go out, abort babies, and then use them all to make each individual vaccine. No, that is not what happened. Crazy mother. Okay. I'm so grateful for this woman right now. All right. 1973 by researchers in the Netherlands from tissue from an aborted healthy female fetus. The abortion was not performed with the intent of harvesting tissue for research. Apparently, that was just something that happened. So there we go. So it's not, and then she goes on to say it does no longer contain any of the original fetal cells, only descendant cells grown in a laboratory. And keep in mind, this was never a fetus that was intended to or would have become a baby anyway. But I mean, yeah, this is not. These aren't. They're not fetals. It's an 18-week-old fetus aborted in. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna. I need to calm my tits now. I'm way upset. Another one was another cell line, and the reason you can use fetal cells is because they're meant to grow into anything. That's why fetal stem cells are so great. But yeah, it's per.C6 cell line. That was developed from retinal cells from an 18-week fetus aborted in 1985. Okay. Again, neither of these cell lines were obtained from tissue taken from a human fetus, but these cell lines no longer contain, or they were obtained, but they no longer contain any of those original fetal cell lines. And on this, I really gotta say, way to go. Thank you, Christina M.H. Powell, for explaining to your Christian brothers and sisters that they're not getting injected with aborted babies. Okay? Yeah, that's right, Cadence. We don't waste it. We use every part of the fetus. No, just thank you so much for explaining this. Christina M.H. Powell, you're my favorite Christian of the week. And I mean that sincerely. I don't mean that in a shitty way. That's awesome. Okay. Okay, so here's another one. I'm skipping over because time. This is from pastorsacademy.org, which is technically a blog. And the title of this entry, posted on the 22nd of January by Matthew Mason, is "Can Christians Get a COVID Vaccine?" Well, I'm glad that they're going to let us know. They're going to give Christians permission. Who am I kidding? It is called pastorsacademy.org. So yeah, they're all ready to lead and tell people what they can and cannot do. Okay, so can Christians receive a COVID vaccine with a clear conscience, or should we refuse to be vaccinated? This has been a matter of some debate. Shouldn't have been, but it is. Because all of the currently available vaccines have been developed or tested using cell lines derived originally from aborted babies. Oh my God, it's not a baby, it's a fetus. I miss Christina. Can we get Christina back? I don't like this person. I don't like Matthew Mason at all. I miss Christina. At least she said fetus and fetal cells. Some Christians have therefore stated strong opposition to receiving a vaccine. In this post, I'm going to argue that Christians can receive and administer any of the currently licensed COVID vaccines with a clear conscience. In what follows, the small print sections fill in some details. Oh my God, that is incredibly small print. I'm not reading that. I hope they're helpful, but if you skip them, you'll still get the main points. For a really brief summary, see here. Yeah, let's go there. Let's go to the really brief summary. I said that because Mason italicized it. Really brief summary. This is a brief bullet point version of my longer argument that Christians can receive a COVID vaccine with clear conscience. One, our first bullet point, but the COVID vaccines that are currently registered for use in the UK. Oh, hey, he's where you are. Sorry, Critical Cripple. This is one of your countrymen, apparently. The COVID vaccines that are currently registered for use in the UK have used stem lines developed from fetal cells. Oh, you'll spell it way differently. Oh, that actually looks more correct to me, so that's cool. They spell it F-O-E-T-A-L. We just spell it F-E-T-A-L because we're barbarians. Okay, either in the development of the vaccine or during testing. Second bullet point, at no stage in the development and testing were actual cells from a fetus used. I love how earlier babies, now fetus. Okay, man. All right, Matthew. It had to get that hot button baby word in there, but now you're cool with fetus. All right. I see how you are. Okay, sorry. The vaccines themselves also contain no fetal tissue. Ooh, shocker. Yes, of course not. Although I am glad, again, like I was with Christina Powell, I'm glad that Matthew Mason is pointing this out. Hang on, I gotta, next bullet point. The murder of unborn babies is evil, a transgression of the sixth commandment. And then in parentheses, for Christians who don't know, you shall not murder. Okay. Alrighty. That is highly debatable, even among Christians. And when Roe v. Wade was passed in the U.S. in 1973, in fact, I think it was, yeah, in 73, exactly. Let me know if I'm wrong. That actually, all the big Protestant names came out and were like, no, it's fine. It's fine. But women have miscarriages all the time. The Bible says you're not, life doesn't start until the baby takes its first breath. I don't know. Maybe they've, as we've learned more about like what goes on in the uterus during development, maybe that did something. Actually, no, it didn't. It was politics. That's what did it. Politicians realized that there were a lot of pro-life Christians out there that they could get on their side with a single voter issue. And so they turned abortion from a women's health care issue into a single voter issue. Anyway, next bullet point. Oh, that's funny. This is not a bullet point meant to stand on its own because it begins with therefore. So it's right off of the murder of unborn babies is evil. Therefore, the abortion of the baby girl from whose tissue the stem line in question was developed was both tragic and sinful. Oh, fuck you, Matthew Mason. Fuck you. However, next bullet point, receiving one of the COVID vaccines does not involve cooperating in that evil. How do you figure? You're benefiting from that evil, nor does it imply approval of abortion. This is because the abortion in question took place decades ago and is not part of an ongoing pattern of killing children for medical purposes. Okay, all right. So thou shalt not kill has, like so many grievous sins or transgressions or, unlawful acts, a statute of limitations. Apparently, if the situation happened in the 70s, you're fine. You can benefit from that all you want without having to recognize the fact that none of the original cells are from that abortion anymore. They've just been grown in a lab. I think Ms. Powell did a much better argument on that by stating that fact than this, like, well, it was a long time ago. Okay. So freaking weird. Hey, brain bug. All right. So next one, there are clear examples. Oh, he's going to get into scripture and history, past evil acts that were fine. For example, the blessing of food that God brought to Joseph's family and to Egypt through Joseph, but that originated in his brother's evil act of selling him into slavery. Genesis 50:20. Okay. So basically, if an evil act leads to something good, then it's fine. That's a slippery slope, my dude. Because yeah, a lot of people have used that rationalization, that exact argument to rationalize a lot of evil shit. Oh, this is cute. The next bullet point is Christians should absolutely how we can make clear our opposition to abortion. Really? You're not sure how to do that? Is that because you're in the UK? Do you guys not like hang out outside of clinics with protest signs calling women whores and all kinds of horrible things and just making everything worse? Especially, like, I mean, do you not do that? Do Do people like me in the UK not have to donate golf umbrellas so that women can get inside an abortion clinic without random people taking their picture and then posting it on social media so that, you know, maybe their abusive husband or boyfriend finds out they were there and decides to beat the shit out of them and or kill them later? Is that not something you guys have to deal with? I love that you live in such a reasonable country if it's not. Yeah, it's real fucking clear where I live. Okay, next one. We should also respect the right of those who choose not to receive a vaccine. I don't know about. Okay, I definitely don't have to respect that person. If they don't have a medical reason for not getting one, I don't respect them for not getting one. But respect the right of those who choose not to receive a vaccine. Again, that brings us back to herd immunity and taking care of everyone, and you know, the whole loving thy neighbor thing. Okay, but pro-life Christians, last one, can receive or administer a COVID vaccine with a clear conscience. Oh, that's nice, good, because here in the United States, you can say, oh, this goes against my religious beliefs. I'm not going to administer this vaccine in some places. So that's scary. Okay. All right, and here we go. Last article. 5 reasons Christians should get the COVID-19 vaccine by Deborah Harsma. That's Harsma with 2 A's. February 19th, 2021. Should you get the COVID vaccine? Many Christians are saying no or not yet. Here are 5 reasons to say yes when you are eligible. Number one, COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective. Misinformation and conspiracies fill social media, making people cautious. Yet all vaccines in the U.S. are required to go through a rigorous testing and approval process. Yes, we know this, guys, right? Oh, and actually, the writer of this bio logo, this listicle on bio logos, said, I am in a vaccine trial myself and can personally attest to the rigor and care being taken. So that's cool. As Francis Collins points out, that's a nice name to have in your hat, all of the data are publicly available and transparent. Dr. Collins vouches for the new vaccines as the director of the nation's biomedical research, as a Christian, and by personal example. He was one of the first to receive the shot. And then number 2 on the list, protect yourself as well as others. Oh my gosh. Okay, again, what one would hope would be an obvious Christian response, and yet so isn't, Matthew. Some people will not be able to take the vaccine at all due to other serious health conditions. When you get the vaccine, you help build up community immunity, right? All right. She also has hyperlinks to common questions and for more details. Also, she points out that thousands of Christians have committed to following public health guidelines in our Christian statement on science in pandemic times. So you can look at that as well. Good for her. All right, 3, the sooner the better. Widespread vaccination is the fastest and most permanent way to stop the spread. Nearly 500,000 people in the United States have already died of COVID-19 and millions more have been sick. And also, guys, we're still getting like, it's numbers, so help me out in the chat if I get this wrong. I want to say something like 1,000 new cases every day. Still. So let me know. But many others are struggling, she points out. Those who've lost jobs, the lonely, those suffering with mental illness, the healthcare workers serving on the front lines, and the teachers and kids dealing with online school. All of this will end as soon as we stamp out this virus. You can help your community by getting the vaccine as soon as you are eligible. Well, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Number 4, COVID-19 vaccines are ethical. Okay, and again, no vaccines contain human cells. Thank you. Good night. And she goes into the whole thing. But while the association with abortion gives many Christians pause, there is substantial agreement among Christian theologians and ethicists that the connection to fetal cell lines should not make these vaccines off limits for Christians. Okay. And then she also has a hyperlink to common questions on vaccines and more. Number 5, the disease is riskier than the vaccine. Yes, thank you. No vaccine is 100% risk-free, just as no medical procedure is risk-free. Christians need to weigh the risks on both sides. COVID-19 is a serious disease, much worse than the flu. my gosh, this poor woman, she's having to basically go out and just like shoot down Trump talking points. It's so sad, but I'm glad that she did. Again, for her audience. Some have mild cases, some people die, basically. I just paraphrase that. And then at the end, love your neighbor, get the shot. So good for her. That was Deborah Harsma. So like I said, all of these links are in the description. So I wanted to get a Christian points of view and secular points of view. I was surprised at how I did not like Matthews very much, but I was surprised at how rational, at least the other two, the two ladies, their articles were, and they made excellent points. Hey, Paul Camish. So yeah, so that's where we are. I got my first shot today. My arm hurts. I'm quite fatigued. I could literally fall out right now and take a nap. It would be amazing, but I can't because I'm going to be on Godless Granny's show. So I'm going to stop about here and encourage all of y'all to go check out Godless Granny at 7 o'clock my time. That is 35 minutes from right now. So take a break, get a J&D, Paul, is it morning where you, I never know. Anyway, whatever. If it's an appropriate time, get a beverage that is appropriate for where you are and when. And hopefully we'll see y'all over there. Yeah, and when you're talking, if you don't mind a tiny bit of advice, I mean, you're all nice folks. But if you're talking to people in real life who have misgivings about the vaccine and all that stuff, don't be afraid to share your experience with them when you get it, and B, don't try not to be too aggressive, because that might just, people tend to double down, and we're talking about real people, real lives, people we know. It's one thing to go a bit nuclear on the stupidity on the internet. I do that all the time just to get it out, but yeah, for sure, like, if you got family members you need to talk to, if you've got family members you're avoiding talking to because you're scared of what they're going to tell you, they're not getting vaccinated, and trust me, I got a couple of those. Not sure how to approach it. Anyway, just tread carefully, try and do the most good and the least harm if you can. Having said that, have a great night. Take care of yourselves. Be safe out there. And also, you can't find truth in wine, but you can find it in reason. Love from Memphis, y'all.